Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how super easy it is to install one of SuperATV's Rhino 2.0 axles in this Honda Talon 1000R. So let's jump right in. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove the wheels and tires. And then we're going to go ahead and disconnect the brake caliper. Go ahead and disconnect our shock. We'll go ahead and remove our cotter pin from our castle nut. I like to kind of bend it down straight and get it tapped up as much as I can to get my side cuts. Kind of using to pry the cotter pin out. And we'll go over here to our tie rod end. We'll go ahead and we'll remove cotter pin from it as well. So we'll go ahead and grab our 30 millimeter. With our castle nut and our rotor. And we'll come down here to our lower ball joint. We'll want to remove our cotter key from that as well. Come over here, give it a couple taps, get it started through. Take our side cuts, using to kind of leverage it out. And we'll grab a 19 millimeter socket. We'll go ahead and remove the nut off the stud. And I like to take two hammers. We'll take the ball peen portion and we'll lay it right here on the A-arm. So we'll lay one side of the hammer like that, and we'll take another hammer and smack this one. So like that, you just give it a couple smacks. See, we've went ahead and this is disconnected now. We'll get a 14 millimeter and we'll remove the nut off of our tie rod in here. If they don't want to pull out, we'll use the same technique here. We'll take two hammers, put one right here, then it'll pull right up out of there just like that. So now we're ready to pick up on our upper A-arm, remove our shock. We'll just take our shock and we'll just kind of flip it up. While we have it flipped up, grab a hold of this upper A-arm, pick it up as high as we can get it. Pull the knuckle out. And I like to take the axle and kind of lay it over like that. And take a ratchet strap, pick your shock up, pick the upper A-arm up, and just take your strap, run it right through your shock hole. And if you do it like this, it holds the shock up and the A-arm at the same time. So then you'll just grab a hold of the axle, give it a couple pulls, it'll slide out, just like that. One thing with this differential is if you don't have an axle right there ready to go, you don't want to remove it because it will leak oil. So we've got our new Rhino 2.0 out of the box. It's ready to be installed. One thing I like to always do when I'm installing any axle is I like to find where the C-clip separates, and I like to put it towards the bottom. So as you can see right there, it's separated. We're going to install it just like this. So we'll take it. With this axle, you got to kind of find exactly where it needs to be. This one went in like butter. Sometimes if they don't want to go in, I'll take a rubber mallet, smack it out here, just give it a few taps, and it'll pop right in. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and remove the castle nut in this axle. And it's very important to never let an axle hang. So as you can see, I'm holding on to this while I'm doing it. I'm not going to let it drop down. That'll crease the boot. Once you crease one of these boots, a lot of times it'll lead to it wanting to rip or tear on you. So as you can see how we have it jigged up and strapped, I could just slide my axle in. It's perfectly acceptable. So now I just kind of take the pressure off of everything, cut my strap loose, kind of let it all come down, take our strap off, sit it on the ground. We don't need it anymore. Got that. And we're just going to go ahead and mate the upper and lower A-arm. Just like that. We'll take our nut, our castle nut, for our lower ball joint. We'll go ahead and we'll get that started. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop my shock bolt in. We'll just go ahead and start our nut on it as well. We're already here. Go ahead and put our tie rod end back into position. Get the nut on it. our hub. So once we have our hub slid on, we'll go ahead and take our new washer and castle nut, get it installed there. Just kind of hand tighten it up. We can go ahead and take our brake caliper, get it slid onto the rotor, get the hardware all started. Go ahead and tighten up our castle nut. We'll just take the new cotter pin that we send and drop it right down through the hole. Once you have it all lined up, get your side cuts. Put it up. Tighten up the tie rod in. Go ahead and put our cotter pin in. We're going to go ahead and tighten our shock bolt. We'll go ahead and tighten our lower ball joint. Put our cotter pin in. Now we have our axle installed in the front. Everything's fully tightened. If you have to do it for the opposite side, just repeat the same exact steps. So moving on to the rear, we're going to go ahead and remove our rear wheels and tires. Get a pair of side cuts. Pin that cotter pin down. So again, just kind of using our side cuts to leverage it out. Get a 30 millimeter. And remove our brake caliper. Got our 14 millimeter. Go ahead and slide our caliper off. And our hub. Then we're just going to disconnect this radius arm and this radius arm. Make sure we don't lose our hardware in our washer. Sometimes this radius arm will get stuck. Give it a couple smacks like that. Go ahead and take this radius arm loose. And then in order for this to flip down, we're going to have to get in here and take our 10 millimeter loose. Pull our trailing arm out. And here's our axle. And you can just pull straight out on the axle just like that. So you can get your axle reinstalled without taking your sway bar link loose, but I found it's easier if you just go ahead and disconnect your link, on both sides. Just makes it so much easier to get in there. We'll go over here to the opposite side and do the same thing. So now with both of those disconnected, pick our sway bar up out of the way and grab this arm and we can pull it up. We'll just take a ratchet strap just to tie that up, get it up there as high as we can out of our way. Now we have a clear shot to put our new axle in. Again, let's make sure our snap ring's down. Give it a couple tugs, make sure it's in there. Go ahead and remove our castle nut. Pull our trailing arm out. Slide it right back in there into the knuckle. Disconnect your strap. We'll start with our lower radius arm. We'll slide it on. Get our washer. Put it on there. Get a nut to hold it in position. We'll go ahead and grab our upper arm here and our brake caliper. Get our brake caliper slid back down in position. We can take our 10 millimeter bolt. Once we get this kind of pushed back up where it needs to go, put that 10 millimeter bolt back in. Just take our caliper, get it back mounted to the knuckle. Let's go ahead and tighten this hardware at first. Grab this radius arm. Have to kind of lift on it a little bit. Give it a few taps by hand. Slide right on. We'll put our washer on. Put our nut. Grab our hub. Put this on, we'll just kind of pick up on our axle. Take our new washer, castle nut, install it. Like to kind of tighten it up by hand a little bit there, so it kind of pulls that axle into position. Get both of our brake caliper bolts started. Let's go through and start fully tightening up our hardware. Tighten the castle nut. Get our new cotter pin. Drop it through. Pull it up. Make a little hammer action here. We'll go ahead and we'll fully tighten our brake caliper hardware. Let's go through and we'll double check all our hardware here. We're going to go ahead and reconnect our sway bar links. Slide them down to position, get our nut started. And these sway bar links are actually supposed to have a cotter key in them. Looks like ours did not, so we'll go ahead and we'll put a new one in it. Make sure we get them nice and tight. Cotter keyholes exposed. We'll go to the other side. And if you were going to be installing axles on all four wheels, which you absolutely should, we aren't today, just for demonstration purposes. You would wait until you got the other side finished before you went ahead and put your sway bar link on either side. So now you just want to go through, make sure your hardware is tight, all your cotter pins are installed, and that's how super quick and easy it is to install SuperATV's Rhino 2.0 axles on this Honda Talon 1000R. For more information on these axles or any of SuperATV's great products, feel free to give us a call at 855-743-3427 or check us out online at superatv.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.